Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of the Lofty Loops Yarns podcast. It's been a while, as I feel like I say every time I start one of these, but my name is Allison. If you haven't been here before, welcome. I am the hand dyer behind Lofty Loops Yarns, as well as been a knitter, crocheter, cross stitcher, spinner, all the things for ages now. So this is my little slice of YouTube where I share what I've been working on, what I've finished, and really just chat about my makes. I hope that I can inspire people because I end up getting loads of inspiration from watching everyone else out on YouTube and all of the social medias and things. So last time we talked, it was during Vlogmas. And then I had a found footage from Vlogmas that was even before Christmas time that I recently posted. So it's been a while. I have a lot to update on. Do have a few finished objects. I'm wearing one of them that has yet to be shared officially, I believe. So I'll chat about that in a minute. I've got some exciting works in progress. I'll talk about what my Advent projects were and how far along those are, because surprise, surprise, they are not finished and it is beginning of February. So that's okay. That's kind of how I roll. We're used to it over here. Let's see, what else? I just have a lot of things. I do plan on having some form of video about everything that I finished in 2024. That will be coming soon. I also want to do a everything started in 2024 and carrying over into the new year. And then kind of along those lines, I want to do a finisher frog episode where I look back. I have things on the needles from 2018. Usually it's a pair of socks from 2018. That's so long ago. So I really need to take stock of my works in progress pile, the things I have stashed away, and just either figure out if I'm going to put my foot down and finish them, or if we're going to frog them, de-stash the yarn, or potentially make them into something else. I don't want to get too terribly far into the weeds just yet because I know y'all are here to see some pretty stuff, but 2025 is going to be my year of stashing down. I am not putting myself on a yarn or fiber diet because that is a whole separate hobby in itself, is the collection of beautiful things. So that's not happening. But what I am going to try to do intentionally in 2025 is to use some stashed yarn for every project that I start. So if I order something and it comes in, maybe I'll pair it with something from stash, just to kind of keep that stash moving, keep things rotating, get stuff up off the bottom that hasn't seen the light of day, things like that. If you're kind of interested in what I've got going on in my stash, the last couple episodes of Vlogmas, I did go through and share all of my stash acquisitions for 2023 as well as for 2024. I've been doing a really good job of keeping track of those as they come in, and I'm doing the same thing for 2025. So really wanting to just show my stash some love because it's all beautiful. And I am that type of person where I say, ooh, shiny, ooh, new pretty, ooh, and then I buy it, and then my languishing stash just side eyes me hardcore from over in the corner and I feel bad. So we're going to use it this year. If that is an endeavor you'd like to join me on, feel free to do so. You can hop on over to Ravelry. I have a group over there where I have a thread open that we can kind of chatter away in, as well as a Discord server. So definitely chat there too. Or just, I don't know, follow along in spirit. We don't have to talk about it. Just if you want to use your stash, awesome. So all that to say, if you do want to follow me on social media, you can find me most active over on Instagram. Unfortunately, Instagram is a thing that I can't quite leave yet, as much as I strongly dislike Meta and the Zuck. He is a turd burger in my opinion for many reasons. But Instagram is is my home right now. So no plans on leaving. I know a lot of folks have decided to move elsewhere, and I totally get that. I am not at a stage yet where I am comfortable doing so. But if you are a person that just is like, yo, I don't want to use it anymore, I'm also over on Blue Sky now. Yeah, Blue Sky. And then make sure more than anything, you sign up for the email newsletter. That is how you can stay in touch without having to be on any social media. So, and I'm always going to be here on YouTube. And I also have a Patreon. If that's something you're interested in, I will be better about updating things over there as I kind of take a step back from some of the other platforms. So, whew, that was a big intro. Sorry, I feel like I haven't talked with y'all in a very long time. But let's talk about the elephant in the room, shall we? What I am wearing. This is my Coorie poncho that I started last year, 2023 Advent. I knit this using the Chelsea Yarns Advent calendar. And that was, I think it was her I Love New York. It was her New York inspired calendar. The Coorie poncho, sorry, I can't back up far enough, but it is exactly that, a poncho. Here we go. Let me scoot ya. There we are. So essentially, you start with a ribbed neck. You make it very, very long as you'd like, so you can leave it up, you can roll it down, whatever, and then you do increases at 4 points and just go on down until you're happy with the length. And then we got a little bit of a ribbing for the bind off. And in order to make this a Advent project, I knew I wanted to use as many of the minis as possible. And so in doing so, I believe I started with about 1 inch per mini. And as you would guess, I definitely had leftover 20 gram from the 20 gram minis of these up here. But as the rows got longer and longer, I had to improvise a bit. So these at the bottom aren't quite as long. Especially these last 3 or 4 here got a bit short, but we made it work. I did not use all 24 minis in this. I have some left over. The whole neck took 1 mini. And then I started with day 2 up here. And I should also say these are not in order in which I opened them throughout Advent. I opened them all and then kind of jumbled them up and picked just kind of what I felt like going with next. So these are just randomized order. So I've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 19 different colors. I definitely could have done the last 5. This would have got rather long on me, so I didn't. They'll go in another project somewhere, but I love how it turned out. I held the minis together with a skein of just really pale pink suri silk to give it this fluff and just to kind of mute all the colors together. Kind of gave just a little wash of pink to really make the pastel colors just blend nicely, in my opinion. I am going to put this back on because it is chilly. I've got my little heater running next to me, but it's cold. Sounds like we're about to get a winter storm as well, so how exciting. I will say, having worn this now a couple times, it's so comfortable. It's so nice to just kind of snuggie up in on the couch. It would be a nice, like, because of the pastels, it'd be a nice Easter kind of thing over a dress. The suri does not bother me next to skin at all. I was concerned about that. Mohair kind of tends to bother me after a little while. The suri so far has not been an issue, which is good, as you'll see in my next couple projects. And the only thing, and this is completely personal, is I don't know that these colors look the best on me. I feel like it washes me out a little bit. I have been kind of dabbling into figuring out my color season. I have not gone in to get that professionally done. But I am learning that these kind of lighter pastel-y colors maybe aren't the best on me. They tend to wash me out. So, all that being said, it's not going to stop me from wearing it. It's just something I notice, and maybe I'll change my mind once I play this back and I see what I look like on camera. But I love it. I love the bottom down here with all of the greens and blues that are popping through. It's really nice. So, okay, that was my Korean poncho, a pattern by Amy Palko. Palka? I don't have my notes with me, so I'm so sorry. Next up for finished objects is my most recent finished object, actually, is a pair of socks. And this first one was knit last year, back in March. The second one was just finished less than a week ago. And these are the String of Lights sock pattern by Whimsy or SockWitchery, and the yarn is Through the Wardrobe Yarn Co. in the Pirouette colorway on her Romantasy base. This sock set came in last year's L'Mercerie Year of Socks Countdown collection. I want to say these were January or February I think, of 2024. And I love them. They're so soft and romantic, and the pinks with the little periwinkle washes through there are so nice, and it just reminds me of like ballet shoes. And the periwinkle mini for the heels and toes, so cute. So happy to finally have finished the full pair. I don't know why it took me so long. I had intended last year, and if you've been watching a while, you may know this, but I had intended to knit a pair of socks every month with whatever came in from the Year of Socks. This is the first pair I've actually finished. One. And I didn't even finish it within the year. Yay. But I do love this pattern. It's so fun. It's easy to memorize. Really just potato chippy, because you want to do like just one more. Yeah, and I like it. I did modify the heel a little bit from pattern and just did it the way I typically do, just so I didn't have to think once it got to my heel flap and gusset. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And Selena from Through the Wardrobe is the queen of pastel colors. If you are a pastel yarn lover yourself, please go check out her shop. She dyes the most gorgeous, soft, just watercolory pastels of my dreams. I've got a couple half socks that I've finished that I can't remember if they've been shared or not, so I'm sorry if you're already hearing this. But I figure I'll just share them quick. I won't spend too terribly much time on them. But this was a sock that I knit back in December. This is the Christmas Playlist colorway by Freckled Whimsy. What did I say? Freckled Whimsy. And I used my cold brew sock pattern to knit these up, because I love the way the cold brew socks work up in a self-striping yarn. So these are super cute. I love the colors. It was a Christmas themed yarn, but I don't feel like it screams Christmas when I look at it. I love the blues and the teals with the bright pop of green. So I finished those. Again, this was my cold brew sock pattern. I should also say I knit all of my socks typically using a 9-inch circular, and I do a 1.5, which is a 2.25 millimeter needle, I believe. I used to always be like DPNs all the time, but recently I found that I'm just flying when I use my 9-inch circs, so that's kind of been my go-to. Another finished sock that I finished probably before December. I don't know if I've shared it since, but this is my Hello Pumpkin sock, and I've just got the one finished. This is a salty blonde fiber yarn, and it is the tweed base, which I love, and then just this green that goes with it is so nice. For this I use my vanilla sock pattern, just standard stockinette, slip stitch, heel, flap, and gusset, my rounded toe, and up here I did the first 3 rounds cast on, my long tail cast on. And then first 3 rounds I did in my contrast color, and then switched to do the rest of the ribbing. I usually do 50 rounds for my leg before starting the heel flap, and then my foot I do another 50 or so rounds for the foot. I do wear a 9.5 to 10, somewhere around there in women's sizes, so that's just kind of my go-to. But these are pretty. I have so many single socks that need their mates. And that was kind of my mission last year, was to go through a whole bunch of single socks that I had just waiting and finish those up. And I think I ended up doing probably 5 to 6 pair. So this year definitely want to continue with that and just make sure I'm actually finishing full pairs. These next socks I can't put on a blocker yet because they don't yet have heels. But this was another Advent project. These are my Freckled Whimsy Advent skein socks. I knit these throughout Advent, started with a cuff, and then I just ended up, I think I did like 2 to 3, maybe I stuck with 2 rows, 2 stripes per day, to get me through, like day 12 would have been 24. I don't know what I did. It doesn't matter. I knit them during Vlogmas. And I have marked where I need to cut in for the Afterthought heels, so that's all those are waiting on. So I will hopefully do that very soon, because these are so pretty and I love them and I want to wear them. I love Freckled Whimsy's Splendid base. It's so plump and squishy and nice, and it's probably one of my favorite bases to knit with. Those are almost done. And speaking of cutting in, this is like a sock parade now, by the way. Speaking of cutting in heels, I did start cranking sock tubes from my Advent sock sets during Vlogmas and then promptly fell off. But I do have almost 1 sock complete. So what I do is crank a sock tube on my Dean & Bean sock machine, and then it will go in, and on one end where I take the waste yarn off from the machine, I will add a cuff. And then on the other end, imagine that these are still stuck together in one long tube, I'll do the other cuff. And then I will split them apart where the half points meet. So this one has been split. This one I picked up and finished the toe. And then eventually I will go back and cut in an Afterthought heel. And so this one has its cuff, it needs its toe, and it will get its heel as well. So really fun way to make a pair of socks on the circular sock machine. I love using it when I want to see how a colorway works up. Just knowing that obviously tension is going to be different for everyone. It's going to be different on hand versus on a machine. But it does give you a pretty good idea, and it's a great way to quickly work through some yarn. The hardest part is probably picking up all the stitches and adding in those bits, but honestly that's not hard at all. It's just tedious, time consuming. So this was Starfall, my Starfall colorway from week 1 of Advent, and I saved one for myself on my Glimmer base, which has a gold stellina. And then this was the mini that went along with it. So I just need to finish those up at some point in time. And then I decided that while I had my sock machine out and oiled up, raring to go, I really wanted to sit down and see if I could finally figure out how to do a hung hem and the ever dreaded heel and toe on the sock machine. I had tried so many times and thought I had resigned myself to just, you know what, tubes. I'll settle for tubes. Tubes is fine. I'll cut in everything, do it all by hand. It still saves me 75% of the time because the whole tube's already done for me. But I thought, how nice would it be if I could just finally get over that learning curve and finish a sock completely finished on the CSM. Well, here is attempt number 1. I did do a hung hem on the circular sock machine. So instead of 2x2 ribbing for a cuff, you get this little kind of folded over cuff, which jury's still out. I haven't really worn these, but I don't know if in theory I'll love wearing these. They seem to kind of stretch a little more than a 2x2 rib would, but I don't know. Like I said, haven't really tried. I did somehow manage to do the short row heel. It's a little wonky. It's not perfect. And then also managed to finish with the toe, which is you do another short row heel and then you Kitchener across the top to close it all up. So again, looks wonky. There's definitely some issues, but I did it. It's a whole sock. And if I put it on a blocker, you can even, like, you can't even hardly tell. Okay, maybe you can tell. We've got some holes in the heel, but it's a sock. It's finished. It is rather holey, and the side especially. But you know what? It was a first attempt, and I was just so happy to have done it that I wanted to try it again immediately. And so I threw the next colorway from my Advent, weekly Advent, which was plated in gold, put that on a cone and tried to do another one. And this one is a little bit better, I must say. So still did the hung hem. We're still getting a little wonky around those short rows. Got to figure out a way to tighten those up. But all in all, I think this one went quite a bit smoother. So this is plated in gold, again on that Glimmer base. It's kind of getting blown out. It's very overcast but very bright outside today. So that was the last of my CSM adventures, at least for the recent times. I do need to get back to it. I'd love to finish the second sock and maybe try another one, or at least do a whole crank tube. Speaking of the Advent calendars, in my weekly Advent this past year, I did the Advent of Magic and Whimsy, which was where I took inspiration from some of my favorite romantasy books, and which is plated in gold, was from The Plated Prisoner, and Starfall is from ACOTAR, and I had one from Moonplume. I had Moonplume, which was from When the Moon Hatched, And oh, Nikdos was from Blood and Ash series. So yes, anyway, sorry, tangent. I collaborated with Lindsay, the SockWitchery, to come up with a pattern that I could also share with my sock sets this past Advent. And she designed the most beautiful pattern called Tails Unfolding. And it's meant to look like books on a shelf, if you can kind of picture that. Like spines of books or stacked books. I love it. It was such a fun project to work up. I love the texture in it. Again, she's really good at doing these kind of potato chippy patterns where you're like, just one more repeat, just one more, just one, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm at the heel. Okay, awesome. So they do go really quickly. They're easy to memorize, easy to follow. And I got to the point where I didn't even have to see the pattern anymore. I could just tell where I was based off looking at it. And it was a really enjoyable knit. I have only finished the first sock, so I need to go back to do the second. And this was my November Color Cube Club colorway from this past year. So yeah, Tails Unfolding, and I'll link it down below, and I highly recommend. It's so pretty. Take it off the blocker so you can kind of see it. Not so stretched out. Yeah, real pretty. Love it. So that was super fun, and I am very, very thankful to Lindsay for doing that with me. I hope everyone that received it loved it, because I know I did. It's a great little pattern. And I could definitely see more soon in my future, especially when I finish that second one that needs to be finished. Okay, jumping into another Advent project that I'm sure y'all are dying to be updated on. I'm gonna take this off too. I'm getting very warm now. I've got a little space heater that I turn on here in my office because I feel like I get a cold draft through these windows, but boy, that thing puts in work. Now I'm covered in suri fluff. It's fine. Okay, let's just add to it, shall we? Add to the suri fluff all over myself. If you watched Vlogmas, or if you've been following along, I wanted to do a sweater using my Fibre Fox Advent calendar this year. I knew it was going to be a fade. Georgie and Ben dye the most gorgeous fades ever. Loved mine last year. I thought I had it with me. I do not. It was very jewel toned, dark and moody last year. And no, that was 2 years ago. Sorry. This year was very more light, airy, whimsical, dreamy, while still having just the best colors. They just spoke to my heart. I don't know how they do this. It's like they pull my dream palette out of my brain and then make it so, and it's so good. So I knew I wanted to do something big with this. I have working on making a blanket with last year's, and then 2 years ago I made a Sleigh All Day Cowl. So I knew I wanted a garment of some kind this year. So I decided to cast on a cozy classic raglan by Maed Designs, and I am holding every mini that I got double with some suri alpaca fluff, just undyed, just plain white, undyed. And I don't know how well it's going to come across because it is that much of a beautiful gradiated fade. But if you can see the top, my collar here is just undyed yarn with the mohair. And then as soon as I finished the collar, I added in day 1. And I am doing 8 rounds per color. And I'm just striping it through exactly like I did my Coorie and Poncho. I just knit 8 rounds and switch. I'm not doing any other color management other than going in the process that the days were open, so I'm following the fade. I've split for sleeves, so you can kind of see there how we're getting, it's just so hard to pick up on camera. But we start so pale and we get very, very pale pink, and now we're kind of shifting into a purpley pink. And if I flip it to where I'm at now, you can definitely see that I'm losing stitches. You can definitely see where we're getting into those darker colors. So, for example, this is what I'm working with right now. So still a fairly light purple, lightened up even more with the white suri on top, but it's so scrumptious. And I cannot wait to have this as a garment. And honestly, looking at it, I mean, I can maybe see where my colors are changing, but barely. And I love it. I love it, love it. I don't even, like, that doesn't bother me one iota. It's exactly what I had in mind, what I was picturing in my head, and I adore it. For the sleeves, because I am doing 8 rounds for the body before switching colors, I do have about half of the 20 gram mini left over, and so I'm going to use that for the sleeves as well. Hopefully get 8 rounds on each sleeve. So that is my goal. I've got all of the extras sitting over there in order, lined up, waiting until I pick up and start working on a sleeve. So it will continue in the same fashion as the body. I don't remember what size I'm making, but it is on my Ravelry project page if you're interested. And I think so far I've gone through 1 ball of suri. I believe I'm on my 2nd so far. The other project that I started working on through Vlogmas with my Advent has kind of taken a back seat due to me being focused on other things, and that's fine. But I did start a Sleigh All Day Cowl with my 2024 Chelsea Yarns Advent. And this was a Chelsea on the Ranch themed, and it was real cute. Yeah, all of the names were real cute, and the rest, I barely gotten through. I don't even think this is 10. Just finished up color 9, looks like. So not even halfway through the Advent yet, but loving it so far. The Sleigh All Day Cowl is a pattern by myself. It is a pattern intended to use with a Advent calendar, but it can also be a scrappy project. It can be 2 to 3 colors. You can be a full same color. You do you. Like, make it your own. I really wanted something that would be slightly different every day, even though the sections do end up repeating. It still felt like if I was sitting down and knitting every single day through Advent, that I was doing something new and I wasn't getting bored. I do get bored really easy with projects, especially when I'm knitting on like a stockinette body or just a plain sock. So I do enjoy having these little bits of different texture and things to throw in every now and again. So one section has this lace kind of seashell look to it, diamond pattern. And then the next section you can do either 1 or 2 color brioche. The choice is yours. All of that information is in the pattern if you want to shake things up. I tell you how you can do that. And then we've got this really cute kind of chevron-y section, another section of brioche, this kind of slip stitch texture pattern, which is fun and easy, more brioche, and then we restart at the beginning. So you can kind of see how it changes through each day. Each section is divided by some garter rows. In these garter rows, I held a skein of that pink, light pink mohair, suri that I had left over from my Coorie and Poncho. I'm likely gonna run out. I do have a backup, but just to give it a little bit of like, I don't know, added fluff. And I like how it kind of changes the color a little bit. So yeah, just added fun. And I did make one of these, as I mentioned earlier, with the Fibre Fox 2023. Adore it. I love that it faded all the way around the cowl. This one is obviously not fading, so I'm excited to have one that's more random. But she does have a very cohesive color palette, so everything seems to go together really well. If you have 10 gram minis, for example, instead of a full 20 gram mini, I do also include a shorter cowl. So each one of these sections is divided in half basically. And so you would just be changing colors more quickly. And then you would double up your colors as well. So that I have lots of options. We love options. So check that out. This is knit in the round. It starts with a provisional cast on. Once you finish all 24 sections, you'll end up seaming them together. So you will have a nice, warm, chunky cowl. If that's not your thing, I also have this exact same pattern, but as a flat wrap, and it is knit on the bias. So again, super fun. Lots of purling in that one, but if you would rather, yeah, that's an option as well. Okay, and now for the project. Well, okay, we're gonna hold off on the project that's stolen my heart. Almost there. I do need to talk about my brand new sock that I just started, because I finished those Pirouette socks, so I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna cast on another. And I ended up casting on my January Color Cube Club, which is a club where I pull a color palette from my color cube, which I believe, yep, right here. I get a lot of questions about this, so I'll just chat real quick. This is my color cube. I was hit with some ads on social media and thought how fun it would be to have this in my back pocket when I need help with maybe coming up with new colorways, inspiration, things like that. I will flash this so y'all can go to the Google and find it if it's something you're interested in. And it is cram-packed full, 250 of these cards. And in the cards, there is a picture and a color palette. And then if you want to take it even further, let's say you're a graphic designer or something, they've got hex codes on the back and color names and different shades and depths. So my idea that I started last year was to randomly select a number using a random number generator and get a number between 1 and 250. And I did that every month. And so then I would pull the pull the card with that number, and that is the Color Cube Club colorway of the month. Say that 3 times fast. That was so much fun. I ended up dyeing so many things that were so outside my wheelhouse last year that I really feel it helped me develop as a yarn dyer and just learn to put different colors together besides what I gravitate towards is my cool blues and grays and purples. I really am trying to break away from that, but don't look, you know, you can't always break away from that, okay? But no, it was just so much fun and it was really well received, and I wanted to continue it into 2025. So it is still alive and well. This was January's, and this year I actually did something a little different. I pulled 3 cards randomly and then kind of shuffled them around a bit so they made more of a cohesive look. And those are going to be the first quarter. So in theory, if you get January, February, and March, they should all go well together and be very cohesive. So I think I'm going to do that each quarter, and then you'll be able to see those cards ahead of time as well. Kind of decide if that's something that you're into. But if not, you can still jump in, jump out on a monthly basis, and those colors are only available for that month. Later in January, I shut those down so I can dye them up and then ship them out in the last week of the month. And then February will open. So I always have extras, but they are very limited extras. So just keep that in mind. But this is January's Color Cube Club for the new year. And I love the pops of the bright blues. It was a really pretty water scene with icebergs and very icy and cold and just very beautiful. And here in just a moment, I will show you February skeins. But I'm just knitting my normal vanilla sock, nothing special. This is my Lofty sock base, so it is an 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. It is a 2-ply, and it is very plump and squishy. So unfortunately, I don't know if I still have this colorway in the shop. I did have some extras, but I have not looked before I sat down to record to see if I still had some. So along those lines, I wanted to have a little bit of a play in the dye pot and dye up some fiber. Still testing the waters as far as dyeing fiber goes. Don't know if it's something I will do regularly, but every now and again the bug bites and I want to get in and play. So I did dye up the same colorway, the January Color Cube colorway, on fiber, and this is how that turned out. Same vibe, same colors, same color palette. Looks very different. And yeah, I love it. Still got those grays and the blue and the darks. The dark kind of dark gray blue in there. So very pretty. I decided to list these in the shop. I've only got one left, and it is 100% merino fiber. So it is non-superwash. It is just merino. There is no nylon in it, but if this is something that you're into, there is 100 grams of it as a braid in the shop. And now the project that has become the love of my life, and I cannot stop. I can't put it down. I'm so happy that I finally cast this on. I am in the middle of a row. I'm not gonna let that stop me. Maybe I'll let that stop me. Hold while I unpick this, because it'll just be easier to share if I do. I'm like 10 stitches in, it's fine. When I saw Samantha Guerin release the Grid Gambit cowl, I knew that eventually that would be one of the things that I would knit my hand spun into. And so it went into my queue and I dreamed about it. And then when I finished, I think I finished during Vlogmas, a skein of hand spun from Lady Llama that I had been working on. I bought it back in 2020 in VKL, New York. Finished spinning that, and I set it aside knowing that after Advent I wanted to start a Grid Gambit. It was very serendipitous because at the same time I was thinking about, okay, projects are finally in a sort of good spot. The holidays are over. I'm ready to cast on. I saw that Samantha and the Botanical Knitter are hosting a cowl. So it worked. So very happy to have seen that and jumped in on the cowl and immediately cast on my Grid Gambit cowl. I am so close to being finished. Let's see here. This, I believe, is technically the top. I am in the last chart and getting to the point where I will be ready to circle it up and seam it together. And it ends up making this really pretty bandana. shawl or cowl. I adore the way my hand spun has worked up in this. I had no idea that I would be capable of spinning a yarn that could stripe like this and just gradiate like this. So I'm so pleased. I still had no idea what I was doing, nor do I know that I know how to recreate it, but I love it. So the gray to purple pink here is my hand spun. And again, this was a fiber braid I bought at VKL from Lady Llama, and it is the Villain colorway. So here is the rest of my cake. It is probably pretty close to a DK sport weight, and I paired it with a skein of Treehouse Knits Cashmere Elm DK in the France colorway. And this was from Deep Stash a few years ago. I joined Lauren's Traveling Around the World Club and ended up getting a couple skeins a month, I think for 3 months, of places around the world. And this France came with another skein, Paris, which coincidentally, she now has almost available in her shop as a pre-order, so go check out her feed because she's bringing a whole bunch of those colorways back. Paris is gorgeous, by the way, but France was just too good to not pair up here. This is all I have left. I'm getting very, very, very nervous, but if I'm reading Ravelry projects right, no one has yet to run out of a skein of DK yarn. So we shall see. But it's a very fun, interesting construction. You start here in this little corner, and then you work your way through, increasing, and then I don't want to give too much away, but it's just a very cool construction. So you're working, 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 but then at the end of it, everything's going to be kind of on the bias. So it's going to have this really nice diagonal look, and I adore it. I'm obsessed. I'm in love. I don't think it could have gone any better than it's gone. And I just really hope that I don't run out of my main color. You do use quite a bit of your main color. I don't know why I was under the impression that I was going to be running out of hand spun before I run out of my DK that I was using, but all of this, I mean, there is quite a bit, you can see in the back, you are using quite a bit more of your main color, I think. So I'll likely end up with a lot of hand spun left, which I have no idea what I'll do with, but that's something to figure out another day. So yes, beautiful grid gambit. I'm so happy with this. I cannot stop working on it. It's so nice to sit and work on. It's got a lovely I-cord edging, and it's just so good. I will 1000% be making another one of these. I'm already dreaming of the yarn combos. And yeah, it's so good, so good. I've got a little stitch marker on here from the Corner of Craft. Little beaded star. And yeah, I am using a US size 7 4.5 millimeter needle, and these are my Chiaogu interchangeables because I am a Chiaogu girly through and through. So that is the grid gambit. Next time you see it, it will be done because it's all I want to work on, and I've got probably 30 rows left. So exciting. What else? I do have a little bit of stash enhancement stuff that's come in since, I don't know, December. Not a whole lot, just some that I really feel deserves to be shared because it's gorgeous. But I also promised that I'd show the February Color Cube Club. So here is February's colorway. And I'll insert the color cube that was pulled. But it's got a very similar vibe to January with the soft blues, grays, some of those deeper blue colors. But then it's also got this really pretty pop of pink. That was the sunset in the photo. So these are currently available. The mini that will go along with it is going to be same pink, I believe. So you can grab those as a sock set. You can grab multiples on the same base, whatever your heart desires. They are available until, I believe, February 21st, in which case I will pull that listing down and get to dyeing them up for you. Speaking of that listing, I've also just adjusted. So instead of having to re-up your monthly color cube club every single month, you can now add it to your cart as a subscription. And so you will just be automatically entered into the next month and so on and so forth. It'll just be subscription based. There's nothing you have to do. You set it and forget it and you'll get the club every month. You can go in and adjust it ahead of time. So if you decide you want to add something to, change your base, whatever, you can do that. You can also cancel and you can pause it if you need to skip a month or whatever. So absolutely no, I'm not going to hold your feet to the fire. It is there for you all to kind of just help, you know, save some brain space for whatever else you may need it for. And who doesn't love convenience? I do. Okay, a couple things and then I will send y'all on your way. Last year I joined Le Mercerie's Year of Socks. This year in 2025, they have decided to do a year of socks and a year of fiber, which okay, you know, I can't say no to. Pull my arm, why don't you? So I joined both, which means in the year 2025, I will be acquiring 12 new skeins of sock yarn and 12 new fiber braids, among whatever else I end up purchasing throughout the year. Seeing as how last year I've only finished one, that doesn't necessarily bode well, but again, like I said, acquiring and stashing yarn and fiber is a whole separate hobby and I am here for it. So wanted to share with you January and February. They've both come in. These should not be spoilers by any means. I think February's been out there for a while. I believe they've shared on social media and all the things already. So January's sock set is Geektastic Fibers. And this is their superhero sock, a 75-25 superwash merino nylon. It is 525 yards and 120 grams. I imagine that is together with the mini. And it is the Le Mercerie January sock set. Figment of My Worst Intentions, and it is self-striping. So very fun, very bright, kind of superhero-y comic book vibes there. So this will be really, really fun to work up maybe this spring or summer. These are giving summer socks to me. So, and then with that, I will say each yarn dyer and fiber dyer of the month, they get the same mood board, which is really cool because then you can see how someone interprets the mood board color palette onto yarn and then how the other person interprets it onto fiber, and you get wildly different things, which just goes to show we can all be inspired by the same things, right? We can all be inspired by pop culture, movies, books. None of us are going to interpret things exactly the same, and I think that's so cool. So that being said, here is the fiber braid from January called Brand New Day, and this is by Yarn Jam. And it is 100% natural Shiniko So, US Merino and Rambouillet. Shaniko? Did I say it's Shanico? Shaniko. Just make it sound fancy, you know? But this is gorgeous. I saw already that Brandy of Long Dog Yarn spun hers up. It's stunning. I can't wait to get it on the wheel. And here you can see just how different they are. I feel like the peachy pinks, peachy oranges are very similar, and the teals are pretty similar, but otherwise I would have never guessed that these were using the same mood board, which is bonkers and so fun. February from the La Mercerie Year of Socks was from the Camel's Yarn, who is Hannah in Cornwall over in the UK. And this is the Beauty in Decay. And these colors are stunning. This is her BFL Twist Sock, which is a 4-ply, 80% superwash blue face luster, 20% nylon. And it's so good. I love her tags. Look how pretty. Every single skein of hers comes with a tag like this. Just love it. So very beautiful. Love the pop of orange. And then again, using that same mood board, we've got the fiber from 40 Winks Fiber, and this is Weathering. And this, again, Shanico silk blend, 75% Shanico wool, 25% mulberry silk, 4 ounces, and it is 21 micron, and it is oh so squishy and wonderful. And these colors are to die for. Right up my alley. So beautiful. There's her sweetie little logo. But yeah, again, same mood board, same vibe, but different. Isn't that fun? Really enjoying seeing all of these. I don't know if you can still join in on the Year of Socks or Year of Fiber. It might be full, but I do know that Jess usually has enough left over for each month that extras do get listed on the site. So if you're interested, you might keep an eye on that, sign up for the newsletter, check that out. Yeah, very pretty and super fun, and I love being able to experience new to me dyers, or seeing even some of my friends pop up in my mailbox and be like, oh my gosh, more beautiful yarn from the Camel's Yarn. That's so exciting. So love it that. And since we're talking fiber, I did want to share these gorgeous braids that I pre-ordered in December from ZZ Textiles. And I don't believe I shared these before, but I do believe I shared the sock set in my stash dive video in Vlogmas. But this is Elber Dritchel. Wonder if I'm saying that right. I don't know. It's a gorgeous colorway, and I bought 2 braids. This is 100% American Rambouillet, 4 ounces each braid, so I've got 8 ounces of it. Don't know yet what it's going to be, but very much looking forward to figuring that out. I'm telling you, I thought during Vlogmas I was back, or before Vlogmas I was back in my spinning era. Kind of took a hit during Vlogmas, but after having started knitting with some of my hand spun, I'm like, I want all of the hand spun now. So I am going to reprioritize spinning in the months to come. And last but not least, just wanted to share these as well because this is a new to me dyer. It's a new fiber friend, and she dyes some incredible, beautiful yarns. This is Crow and Crescent yarn. She is from Edmonds, Washington, and I picked up some yarn from her, I think a couple months ago, maybe early January. I don't know when I ordered this, but this is Mariana on her Rhea worsted base, which is 100% superwash merino worsted. And I just thought those colors were so pretty. She's so good at these bright, punchy, neon pops of color. And she does a moon yarn every month during the full moon. Oh, it's just so cool. Go check out her feed on Instagram. She's a super cool human and her yarn is gorgeous. I also grabbed a skein of Blue Dune because it caught my eye while I was shopping. This is her Callisto sock, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And again, very, very pretty. It's kind of got some sandy colors in there, moving into that icy blue and then finishing with black. So kind of curious to see if these will micro stripe. That would be really cool. And then this is the one that I needed the second I saw the picture of. This is Arachne. And this is what I'm talking about when I say those bright, punchy neon colors. This is so good. The saturation on these bright, just boom in your face. Oh my goodness, I love them. This is also her Callisto sock, so that's 75-25 superwash merino nylon. I'm gonna pull this off. I have yet to take the band off. Like, y'all, look at those punchy colors. Isn't that just the prettiest? So those are gonna be such a fun pair of socks. So I had to shout her work from the rooftops because, like I said, she's a new fiber friend. Lucky to have some of her yarn to try out and play with, and keep an eye out on her monthly colorways because girl is killing it and they're all so stunning and I want them all, but I also know stash, so we're pacing ourselves, but go check her out. And let's see, last but not least, this week only up until Valentine's Day, I do have a very limited run of tulips sock sets in the shop, so you can go grab those at your leisure. Those will be available until Valentine's Day on a back order, open order status. Once Valentine's Day hits, I'm closing the listing down, and any extras that I do have after I send them out, they'll go up. But I don't anticipate there being a whole lot of extras, so if you're interested, go check those out now. Like I said, sign up for the email newsletter if you want to be notified of when things go into the shop, if you want to see Color Cube Club stuff, if you want to continue seeing what I'm working on and you want to do that off the gram. I promise I'm going to be much more present here on YouTube this year. I know I've fallen off a little bit, but I do really, really miss it. And I do enjoy sitting and chatting with y'all, and I love reading your comments after every single episode. And I don't know. It keeps me motivated to continue working on things, and I know I'm excited, so I love when I can just talk excitedly about what I'm excited about. Yes. What else? Been doing a lot of reading. I won't chat too long about that, but I did just finish A House of Flame and Shadow. Tear. I can't believe I've finally caught officially up with the entire Mazverse. Now I don't know what to do with my whole life. I was putting that off for a very long time. I am currently in the middle of a reread of Iron Flame. I am doing my reread using graphic audio. So if you are not a knower, listener of graphic audiobooks, highly recommend them, especially Fourth Wing and Iron Flame are so good on graphic audio. That is so much more than just an audiobook. It is, what do they call it? A movie for your mind. They have music playing in the background. They have atmosphere sounds. The dragons growling in the background are so good. Spicy scenes get a little uncomfortable, but that's fine. We just don't listen at work. But yeah, I love the whole atmosphere, and it's done with a full cast, so you get everyone's voices different, and you don't get a lot of the, well, he said, well, she said, well, she laughed. No, they just do it. They just say, and they laugh, and they argue, and they all the things. It's so, so good. Highly recommend those. I'm trying to get through Iron Flame so then I can read Onyx Storm. No spoilers, please. I've avoided them so far. yeah, and oh, I am also about done. We're doing a book club through work, and every now and again I'll join in because I'm usually trying to power through something else, like, you know, Crescent City, which is 8,000 pages long. But since I had just finished that, I was able to jump in on the next book club book, and we are reading Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. And that is such a cute story. It's wildly different from what I've been reading recently. It's nothing like Crescent City, ACOTAR, Fourth Wing, nothing like that. It's like real life, real stuff. And it's real cute. And I love the octopus. And I just love octopi in general. I think they're super cool creatures. So it's been fun. And watching all the things. So I don't even know. I won't even get into that because I could go for days. But if you are ever interested in what I'm reading and you want to follow along or see what I've read and what I thought about it, I'm on Goodreads, and I'm also now on the storybook. So check me out there. I'll try to link them in the description. And until next time, I want to give you guys a huge virtual hug. Huge thank you for sticking with me through the death of my Vlogmas. It's the first time I never finished a Vlogmas, but I just had too much stuff going on. I've had stuff, like mental stuff going on. It's been a whirlwind of the last few months, and I needed to take a step back for myself and just be present in the moment with the people I care about, and I need to stop being, basically I'm trying to build my little bubble around myself again, even though that is probably one of the worst things I can do, and it is a privilege that I'm even able to build a bubble around myself or even try, but like, shit's been heavy, y'all. So Vlogmas died, hung out with family, did a whole lot of crafting through January, tried to get my feet back under me, tried to get back to the gym, tried to get back to eating right, tried to get back to myself, and I think we're on the path forward. So, thanks for sticking with me. I know this is, I don't even know, this is Hot Mess Express in the best way, but thanks for listening to what I've been working on. I'd love to hear what you're working on, and I can promise you I will be back very soon with another video. Until then, happy knitting and making, y'all. Bye.